I'm Dr. Larry Kilmore, Vice President of Animal Science and Conservation, and welcome to Wildlife at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. We're at the David A. Straz Manatee Hospital this morning talking with Molly about one of our recent arrivals. And Molly, we just saw you feeding one of our very young manatees. Give us a history on this animal.
His name is Jobin, and he was rescued in July 7th, and he was rescued basically when he was a newborn. They watched him for about 6 hours, and no mother was ever found. So FWC actually decided to rescue him, and he was 55 pounds when he was first arrived, which basically means he was basically a newborn. They're about 60 pounds when they're first born. And so ideally, we would want him to be with his mother. Unfortunately, we don't know what happened to her, so that's why he's here with us.
So this is probably one of our youngest patients that we've received in the history of the program, correct?
Yeah, he's definitely one of the youngest and smallest. He's maybe the top 2 of smallest that we've ever gotten. And that's always a little risky and scary because obviously it's hard when we have to hand raise them, but so far so good on him.
And so this staff, you in particular, have helped perfect this bottle raising of a manatee. It's not as easy as it sounds. And how did you go through that process? I mean, here you have a wild animal, it's been nursing on mother, and you got to get it to take a bottle. How did you do that?
We have some senior staff who've been working with baby manatees for a long time. So when we first get an animal like that, we actually have to get in the water and actually catch them up. They don't really know what humans are. They don't want to come near us, so we actually catch them up, and then actually we'll place the bottle into their mouth and kind of stimulate them, try to get them to take some of them. We usually try with Pedialyte to begin with, or even just water to kind of get them going. As they get better, if they're able to take the bottle, then what we'll do is actually step outside the pool, and then they usually recognize the bottle and will come over for it to the side of the pool. It does take a while. With him, it took about 2 or 3 weeks to get him used to it, and now he actually just comes over to the side. And we do that on purpose because we don't want to be hands-on with the manatees because we do release them. And so we kind of figure those first few weeks they're not going to remember what happened. So the longer they're here, the less hands-on we are, the better.
So how many times a day will you give him a bottle?
We feed him 5 times a day. We start at 6 a.m. and then we go till 10 p.m.
And what do you want to see in consumption? How many ounces at each feeding?
Right now we're doing 8 ounces, and which is basically 40 ounces total for the day. The rule of thumb for us is about a liter. He'll gain weight. So that's kind of where we want to see him consuming. And it's kind of a tricky line between concentration in formula, getting him comfortable, and then eventually even increasing that the longer he's here, and then eventually also weaning him the longer he's here. So it's a fine line and a balance to get there.
And at what age is the ideal age to re-release this animal back into the wild?
What we do is we'll actually wait till he's about 2 years old. With him, we actually will wait till he's about 700 pounds, which, believe it or not, is about 2 years old. They gain about a pound a day as they're growing up. So what we do is we'll actually wait until the winter time to release him. We'll put him into a spring. Because he's never been in the wild, he doesn't understand how to get to warm water sites. That's something that's taught by mom. So what we do is we set them up for success. So we put them in a spring because we know there's other manatees there in February, and then hopefully he'll follow manatees out in the summertime and then return the following year. So since we don't want to just put it all on good faith, we'll actually put a satellite tag on him and track him for about a year and make sure he does okay. And we've done that with several other orphans, and it's been successful.
Wow. Well, as you can tell, folks, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to ensure that this animal is successfully re-released. Now, Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo is the only not-for-profit critical care manatee hospital in the country, and we treated over 320 patients since we opened in the early 1990s. This is a critical program. It is our signature conservation program. It helps restore manatee populations in the wild, which are now right around 3,500 or so. This is an endangered species. It's been entrusted to the state of Florida, and we've got to do everything we can to make sure this species survives. Again, most of our cases are a result of boat strikes, but we do get these abandonment cases like this that take a tremendous amount of effort and work to ensure, again, that this animal will grow up correctly, be re-released, and be a viable part of the population in the wild. So next time you're at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo, take a walk down the Florida Boardwalk and stop overlook the Manatee Hospital, and you'll see just a little bit of the work that we do for this species. We're here with one of our new acquisitions, Galapagos Tortoise, and I'm going to interview Dan about these big tortoises because this is the largest tortoise in the world. And Dan, we received these just a few months ago, so tell us the difference between the Galapagos tortoise and the Aldabra tortoise.
Well, first of all, the Galap is a lot larger and heavier than the Aldabra. They're a little more squatty. You can see their neck is a little shorter, their legs are a little shorter, but they are a bigger, heavier animal, wider, heavier animal.
Who's your buddy there? He kind of likes you, I think.
We didn't name him yet.
You didn't name him
we
yet.
haven't named him
Right.
yet. No.
Okay. Well, what are you feeding him right now? What are you going to give
This is
him?
prickly pear, and if he comes out of his trance, he'll eat some prickly pear. This is good for him. It's got all the carbohydrates they need in it, and a lot of water. These guys get about 80 to 90% of their water through the food they eat.
Well, they originate from the Galapagos Islands, which is about 600 miles west of Ecuador. And in the 16th century, they were discovered by the Spaniards, and Galapagos in Spanish means tortoise. And at that time, the estimated numbers were about 250,000, but they dropped in the 70s down to about 3,000 individuals. And now on the rise again, still considered a vulnerable species. And we're certainly pleased to have these, to be able to exhibit them, to show the public the difference between basically the number 1 and number 2 tortoise in the world. And Dan, we're going to do we're designing right now a public area where you'll be able to feed these tortoises, and we think that's going to be a really great opportunity for the public to get close to these large tortoises. Is there anything unique, any differences other than size between the Aldabra and the Galapagos that are very unique?
What's really cool is this guy. He'll go into a trance when you scratch his neck. So what they got is they have these little birds out on the islands that come by and pick off parasites. So these guys hold real still. We call it the finch hold. So when a finch lands on them, they pick off, and they just don't move.
They just don't move.
Stand there.
I mean, it's amazing that this island species, for all these centuries, has existed. Now, they used to take them on sailing ships and whatever and move them around. Did they also use them as a food source at one time?
They would. They would use them as a food source. They could flip them over in the hull of the ship, and they'd stay alive forever, and they'd have fresh meat.
Wow, incredible. And what is the estimated longevity of tortoise?
100 to 150 years. Darwin picked up one of these guys off of the islands when he stopped by there one time, and that animal died maybe 5-6 years ago.
I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, again, there are some records that can validate this longevity, but normally in zoos, tortoises will be certainly the longest lived animal in your collection without any question. Again, in early 2014, we hope to have this exhibit ready for you and give you just an unbelievable opportunity to be able to get close to these giant tortoises. We're in front of the African elephant exhibit, and in late July, we had a nice arrival here in our elephant herd. I'm with Maura, who's one of the animal care professionals that takes care of our elephant herd. And what happened on the 29th of July?
We had the second elephant calf born here to our herd, to first-time mother Majega.
And Majega is one of our Swazi importation. You remember in previous programs we've talked about the importation of elephants from Swaziland. So we were so excited. We knew she was pregnant. We're so excited now to have 2 calves, and the bonus is that it's a female as well. So kind of walk us through those first few days of the calf's birth.
Well, she was born in the evening. We had staff here watching the entire thing, which was fantastic. And the fantastic thing about Mavi's birth was that it was in the company of Mpumi, which is her big sister, and Mbali, which was our mother of our 10-month-old. And the first few days were very exciting, kind of watching her get her feet and interact with the other animals as they were introduced back to the herd. And the first few days really building that mom and calf bond and the female social interaction between all these guys, making sure that it was a strong herd bond.
Well, what's important in captivity is that we provide enrichment for all of our animals, and especially for elephants that are just keenly intelligent, but you can't get much more enrichment than two calves playing together. And as you come out and you see this herd, you'll see how the two calves interact, and it's just hilarious. It's big sister, little sister, right?
It is. Every single day they come out chasing each other around, playing. Mavi really watches Impumi and is learning from her how to roll around in the mud together, drinking water, all of these things, investigating food. She really is taking after her big sister.
What's important about this, again, is this importation helps support the North American population that really need an infusion of new genetic material, and as well helped out the Swazis in helping thin out their herd that was just overtaking the parks. And now, 10 years later, all the animals have reproduced from this importation, and some of the females are on their second reproductive cycle now. We're just happy to have two calves here. And again, we let them be elephants. We let them give birth naturally. And again, as you said, put that other calf in there immediately after birth so that she got to have that interaction, which is so important. What are some of the interesting things that's happened in the last few months with this calf?
Well, she has really started to eat food. You can see her really start to investigate things and watching Mom, why are you putting this in your mouth? Should I be putting it in my mouth as well? So we're really about to start her training program here in the next couple of months, which is really exciting. She can start learning all different behaviors to help take care of her long term here at the zoo.
Now, we're in what's called protected contact positive reinforcement, which is, we think, a fantastic program, very good for the animals. Maura, explain just basically what that means for the elephants.
Well, essentially, the elephants are not forced to do anything. Every single time they interact with us, it is completely on their own terms, 100% voluntary on their own part. So what it means is they think of us in a very positive light. They've had no negative association with any of us at all. So we take care of them with them cooperating. It's a very stress-free way for them. It's safer for us. And it's a very effective work environment for both them and us.
And the calves now, of course, the reward is food. So since they're still nursing, so it's several months before they'll be able to be rewarded in that system.
Yes.
So with the first calf, Impumi, are you starting to see some interaction already due to food reward?
Yes, absolutely. When we first start interacting with the calves, again, it's all on their own terms, but they come over for scratches and just attention because, like you said, they're not eating the solids right away. Impumi has really taken off in stride with her training program. She's learning a lot of the same behaviors that her mom actually knows already. She's eating carrots are her favorite. And Mavi will be there in just a couple of months as well.
Right. Well, in 2012, 2013, there were 3 African elephants born in North America. 2 of them are here in Tampa. And we couldn't be prouder of that success. And it certainly validates our program now. We are definitely a active participant in the breeding program in North America with African elephants. And again, by infusing this new genetic material from Swaziland, this is going to be just exactly what we were hoping for when we did this importation 10 years ago. So when you're at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo, you've got to stop by the African elephant exhibit and see these 2 calves. They're on display every day. I'm here with Chris Massaro, Associate Curator, and we're going to show you how we do a training session with the calf. So Chris, explain what we're going to see here.
Yeah, this is what we call a relate session or calf creep session. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to open the door just a hair so that the calf can move in and out on its own accord, but it keeps Mom back. And what we can do is we're starting to condition the calf to being comfortable with us. So in the future we can work with her. The veterinarian can work with her, do blood draws, all that sort of stuff.
All right, well, we'll let you go ahead and get started then. So we're just adjusting the door now, just open just enough so the calf can come in. And that way Chris maintains a safe zone so that mother can't cross into that same threshold area. And now we have to wait for the calf to come over. So we could not get the calf to come through the creep, so we're going to readjust. We're going to move the female now over to the right side so the calf is then separated from mother. And again, this is all part of the process to desensitize mother as well as the calf, so separation is a good thing, not a bad thing. And the reason we do this is for any medical treatments or anything that we may have to do. Mother then is completely comfortable with the calf being separated while we perform any procedures we have to do. And this just creates a more positive bond with the staff and the animals, and they're very calm through this whole process. So we're just going to try to readjust this again. And again, you have to remember this calf is just now 2 weeks old, so trying this very early like this is, you just have to be very patient with it. And the rewards, though, are well worth all this effort. And sometimes the calves just have a mind of their own and they want to wander around and look at things, and that's okay. This is all very positive interaction, nothing to worry about. If it works, fine. If not, it will eventually work, and we just have to be very patient while we do all this. So now we go ahead and keep mother busy with the alfalfa. She really likes that. Calf walked up to the opening, decided not to go through it this time, so we'll just wait this out. So this is just perfect. The calf is now almost all the way through. And again, just very slowly touch the calf, get the calf used to some human contact here. And eventually what this results in is us being able to take a blood sample from the animal, look at the animal physically without this being a negative thing. Everything is very positive. So you see the calf is inquisitive at this point, just investigating. Mother's happy over on the other side, just eating away. And of course, rhinos just love to have their bellies rubbed. As you can see, starts to lay down now, which is just perfect. The calf is very comfortable. So Chris, you've got to be happy with that result.
Yeah, so this is what it's all about. It's all on the calf's terms. We want the calf to be completely comfortable approaching us. We don't do anything that would force him to come in and have interaction with us. It's all on his terms. And then at this point, he's exclusively nursing. So we can't reinforce this behavior with any treats or anything like that. So what we do is we reinforce it by this tactile scratching, which the rhinos absolutely love. And you can see he sort of squatted down right away as soon as we started rubbing that belly. And this is probably the most reinforcing interaction we can have with the calves at this age. Gets them very comfortable with us. As you said, it gives us the opportunity to do any kind of physicals we need to do, veterinary physicals, blood draws to monitor their health. You can see he's pretty comfortable right now.
I think this is a very successful session. And how many times have you done this now?
We're trying to do this once a day now with him. It took about 2 weeks before he was really comfortable approaching us, and we had to sort of catch him. That first time we were touching him, he was laying down. We were able to just reach over and scratch his belly. Once he got that reinforcement, it was over. He was hooked and he's ready to go.
So this isn't anything that the general public would see. This is all in our holding areas in the back. But what it results in is very calm and content animals, and animals that we can, again, pull blood samples on, look at carefully without having to put the animal through any stress. The results for the public is they see great animals on exhibit. They see animals that reproduce and live good, healthy lives. And what's important is right now, rhinos are coming under extreme pressure in Africa. One every 15 hours is being poached. It's either a black or white rhino. And at the present rate, there'll be almost 1,000 animals poached in 2013. That's up from 13 animals in 2007, 2008, a dramatic increase that is putting all these animals in peril right now. At one time we thought the white rhino population might be safe. We can't think that anymore. And we have to come to grips with this, because we're not only going to lose rhinos at this rate, very quick rate, but elephants are coming under extreme pressure as well. 96 animals a day are being poached in Africa. So that's why we do what we do, and that's why zoos are important in the overall scheme of things. We're now thrust into the highlight, making sure that our populations are secure and breeding, so that we could perhaps be this assurance colony. We don't want to be, but with these kinds of pressures coming in the wild, we may have no choice. So the next time you're at the zoo, come into our African section and see our new southern white rhino calf in our white rhino exhibit. We're excited here at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. I'm standing in what's going to be the hospital. This will now bring our medical science program into the 21st century. It will include not only a hospital, but a science center and a brand new commissary. So stay tuned for future programs as you see this facility develop. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Wildlife at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo.